Well, when you talk about biggest influences on one's life, at different times in my life, I've had different people who have been very important to me. One is my rabbi growing up in Memphis, Rabbi Wax, and he was one who insisted that we give back to the community. So that message has just been ingrained in my brain for, since I was a young girl. And then I would say that my husband, Dan, is also very influential in my life because of his razor focus in terms of philanthropy and in terms of giving back. I'm all over the place, but about 18 years ago when we married, I really focused on education and children. And he's just a really good, kind person. Dolores Weaver has been a tremendous influence on me just as a role model for the kinds of creative ways in which she gives back. Finally, I would say Nina Waters, who is another extraordinary woman. I mean, we have some really extraordinary women in our community. I think that of all the work that I'm most proud of is, and played a small role in, is being part of the group of people who were passionate about education reform in our community and really helped build an infrastructure for change about 10 years ago. And that includes, probably my most proud is having helped build the Jacksonville Public Education Fund and really being a catalyst for diversity. I would say that one of the most important things to me in building that board was that it reflect the community in which the organization was going to serve. I certainly have a lot of respect for people who invest in other kinds of issues outside of Jacksonville, but if they stopped to consider the impact that they would have if they mentored a student or tutored or sponsored teachers, that what a difference that would make in this city. As a retired teacher, I really would love to see teachers elevated in terms of their value. I think that teachers have gotten an unfair shake that they do not deserve, and that they're asked to do so many things beyond just the teaching with the myriad of assessments and standards changing and all kinds of paperwork. So I think it is very tough being a teacher in the public school system, and we need to do what we can to support them. I would like to find leaders, and if they're politicians, who will check their personal agendas and check their politics at the door and work toward the greater good. I would want leaders who would bring people together. I would want leaders who were colorblind and who would be willing to have conversations about race. And it's criminal as a community that we don't have an HRO. Criminal and embarrassing. We need to be more accountable as voters. And I like this phrase, democracy is not a spectator sport. And if we don't do the job that we have as voters, then shame on us. In 10 years, Northeast Florida is a place where our children want to live. And they want to live here because, again, we have a model education system, and that's no pipe dream. We have a thriving downtown. The river is another important component of life in terms of activities that are taking place on the river. It's also a city where we have a female mayor. Her initials could be AM, and that women have taken their place on the city council, in the boardrooms, and throughout the community. That's my dream for Jacksonville, and I certainly hope I live long enough to see it realized.